I am going to refer to 5 separate incidences, very dramatic, very mind-blowing, that have unfolded in Kenya in recent days. And the reason why I'm doing this is to underline the signs of the times that we're living in. More on that later when we're through with this. There is a man called Leonard Thuo Mwithiga. He was a director, Group Shared Services Director at the Kenya Commercial Bank until a few months ago when he took early retirement. And you know, when people take early retirement, you expect them to use the lump sum they normally receive, maybe to improve their house or build one if they don't have one, go into a farming business or something, or even launch a brand new business, etc., etc. But it appears that Bwana Mwithiga had different ideas, because it seems that he used his retirement cash to travel all the way to the United States with one mission and one mission alone. If I can put it in his own words, as quoted by investigators, to put down his wife. In other words, to find a hitman to end the life of the mother of his children. We will go deeper into that later. Number 2, Margaret Nyakang'o, who is the controller of budget, gets into trouble with the state. They charge her for something from her past, something which they did not detect when they cleared her for this public office, which has got security of tenure. Okay, and this comes shortly after she revealed to us that in this government there are some people who earn their salaries 3 times, as far as the records are concerned, as far as the books of accounting are concerned, but they actually receive only 1 salary. Nobody knows where the other 2 salaries of these individuals goes. But she told us it amounts to billions. She was talking to the bipartisan committee chaps. Now she's in trouble with the state. Raila says it is a witch hunt. Most keen observers say it is a witch hunt. Number 3, 2 car dealers get a call from a very interested client who wants to purchase a vehicle they're selling, some high-end Toyota, and they rush to this client with the vehicle. They are then kidnapped, put in a room, and they're asked to give the contacts of their families, people who are close to them, so that the kidnappers can claim a ransom of 5 million Kenya shillings. But something goes wrong and some suspects are arrested. Now, eyewitnesses say that amongst these kidnappers was a woman. Amongst the suspects who are in custody is a woman. Number 4, Cabinet Secretary Professor Njuguna Ndung'u announces that the government is broke, that they're even struggling paying salaries. And at the same time as he reveals this, which should not be news to keen observers of the Kenyan situation, the president continues to make frequent trips out of the country. Of course, not at his own expense. At the same time, the government continues with wasteful spending all over the place and making decisions that cost government extra money. Let me give you a quick example. They removed the contract for printing exams from a UK company. Yeah, and of course they have to pay a penalty for that, because the exam was already with this company. They were ready to get started. But then it is snatched away from them. That cost the government something, so that it is given to somebody else, because that company has refused to bribe people. All this in the backdrop of Professor Njuguna Ndung'u's, shall I call it, big announcement, yeah, telling legislators they should cool their heels about the CDF funds, give government time to get the money, because tax collections are low. Now hold on a minute. I thought we have increased tax rates. I thought we have increased levies. So we should be collecting more taxes. Wah! Talk about people who don't have a clue. Wamesoma, lakini they don't have a clue. Or whoever is in control does not have an inkling of an idea of how to run a country, yeah, with the policies and decisions they're making. Number 5, the ghost of cabinet administrative secretaries, who are really assistant ministers, comes back to haunt Kenyans. And Ruto has appointed 50 of them. And remember, the government is broke, yeah? But now the government wants to pass a bill in parliament to legalize, to entrench the post of cabinet assistant secretaries in our laws. Notice I did not use the word constitution, because to amend most things in the constitution, you need something called a referendum. Okay? So there you have it. 5 different, mostly mind-blowing developments in our country that are a clear sign of the times. Yeah. You know, this is the kind of thing that makes you sweat. Actually, it makes you break out in a cold sweat if you're a sensitive Kenyan who is aware of something called consequences. So allow me a minute or so to drink some water. I'll be back in a jiffy. Now I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all those Kumekuchans who have already responded in gifting me, yeah, during this season when we normally do this. It is a tradition within the Kumekucha family of about 2 years, which really helps me in what I'm doing, which may not be as easy as it may seem from the outside. And I totally understand that. I appreciate that. I'm not bitter in any way, or even upset, in case you don't understand. You know, in this life, if you want to do anything meaningful, you just do it. You don't care so much what other people think or what other people feel. Yeah, you just charge ahead and do what it is you have to do. And especially if you're born to do that thing. Because the truth is, if you have to wait for approval from the majority of the people, it will never come. And at the end of the day, never forget that history will judge us all. And even the roles we played, yeah, when it was very important, when it was very critical for the country called Kenya, like the situation is now. So whatever you can do wherever you are for a better Kenya, it doesn't have to be on this channel, even out there. Whatever little thing you can do towards a better Kenya, please do it. Yeah, your nation, your country really needs you. And if because you're busy, and if because of your circumstances maybe out of the country, the only way you can do your bit is by supporting those on the ground, yeah, not only Kumekucha Chris but even others, then please do it. You know, we live in a world these days where everything is recorded. Yeah, so I'm sure 100 years from now, yeah, if the Lord has not returned, people will see your name and they'll be able to say, my great-grandfather was involved in this. My great-grandmother, here is her name. She was deeply involved in a better Kenya. I'm just trying to inspire you. I hope I didn't get carried away. Yeah. So whatever little thing you're doing, just keep on doing it. And I'm especially grateful to those of you who have already responded. You may think you have done something small. Yeah, but really you've done something big that will stand the test of time. I believe you have been seeing details on your screens right now. In case you have not yet participated in this our tradition, even as I continue to rededicate myself to what I do on this channel. Now, I'm well aware of the fact that I lose many of you when I start talking about spiritual matters. Okay? And so, I will say the following. If you know the season, it doesn't matter if you're spiritual or not, but if you happen to know the season, you happen to recognize it, you can make a fortune from it. Okay, let me give you a quick example. There is a company, not based in Kenya, that is now specializing in building secure homes for their clients. What they do is that they design and build for you a house that is secure, from civil unrest, from things kikiumana, things going haywire in a country or in a society. They build you those kinds of high security houses. And most of this house is underground. So you enter the compound, there are few buildings here and there. Those are just, for lack of a better word, dummies. Okay? Most of the living quarters in the house is underground. And you enter a garage which opens on the ground. And you see this very luxurious house with everything you dream of. And it is all very secure underground. Nobody can get into there. Even if they come armed to the teeth, even if they use grenades and bombs, they cannot get to you. Now that is a brand new company, a brand new business. In my opinion, they will make a fortune. Why? Because they've recognized the signs of the times we live in. Now back to Kenya. The problem most Kenyans have is that they are yet to recognize the season we have entered, the times in which we live. Now I know this is going to be news, breaking news to most of us, but I know a few amongst us will already be aware of this information. The case of Leonard Thuo Muithiga, where he was caught because a state trooper in the United States, posing as a hitman, was able to record him giving instructions because he wanted the mother of his children to depart from this planet between January 28th, 2024, next year, and February 3rd, 2024. Why? Because by that time, he was going to be already back in Kenya. And therefore, theoretically, nobody would ever think of linking him to any misfortune that may have befallen his dear wife all the way in the United States. But what Bwana Leonard Thuo forgot or did not realize is that we are living in the season of exposure. And the breaking news here is that this kind of thing happens all the time. All those unsolved murders, they were not done by somebody from outside this planet. They were done by humans, usually people close to the victims. This kind of thing happens all the time. It is only that we are now in the season of exposure, that this thing has been exposed, complete with watertight evidence of the arresting officers. Kidnappings in Kenya, like those of those two car dealers, happens all the time. And there are women involved. It just makes sense, because you see, we men are never on our guard when we see a woman is involved, especially a supu, a nice looking young lady. You relax, you lower your guard, and you walk into the trap nicely and neatly. It happens all the time. But unfortunately, this time round, for these perpetrators, they tried an old trick, successful old trick, in the wrong season. That is really what it is. And it is the same with the case of the control of budget, Margaret Nyakang'o. You see, ordinarily, controllers of budget do not call a press conference. They can never call a press conference. Technically, it is not allowed. They're in government, and therefore whatever they discover must remain within government. But then something different happens this time around. There's some bipartisan talks, and somebody insists that this thing is entrenched in law, so this thing is passed in parliament. Which is the first very important step, and this thing would never have come out if this thing had not been made legal in parliament. I hope you're catching my drift. And therefore, when the controller of budget is called by the bipartisan chaps and she's asked questions, legally she is free to expose the government. She's covered. And so Kenyans discover for the first time that actually this budget that is passed by government is full of leaks. There are holes all over the place. Money disappears into bottomless holes all over the place. Like somebody receiving a salary, one salary. But then their salary, two other batches of their salary, goes into a deep bottomless pit. Happens all the time. It has been happening under the government of President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. It has been happening, believe it or not, under the government of Mwai Kibaki. Oh yes. And needless to say, under Moi and Jomo Kenyatta, the same thing was happening. This is not new. What is new is the season. And cabinet administrative secretaries are also not new. We used to call them assistant ministers. And in 2007, around the month of June, somebody called Kalembe Ndile, who had been appointed an assistant minister, he must have gotten very excited. This man was almost semi-literate. He didn't go to school much. But he was a man of character. And also he was a man of truth. There are not many of those left. But he was a man of truth. Decided to mobilize his fellow assistant ministers one day in the year 2007 and complain. They even wrote a letter to the president. They said, we are feeling guilty. We are being paid taxpayers' money for doing nothing as assistant ministers. And therefore we want to be given duties. We want to be given some work to do so that our conscience is not pricked for collecting a hefty salary every month for doing 0 plus 0 times 0. Now if we fast forward to the present, we will be aware that there are some Kenyans who have defended this CAS position, Cabinet Administrative Secretaries, who are really assistant ministers. And remember, those who put together the Constitution did their research. And of course, they realized what Kalembe Ndile was saying. And therefore, the post of assistant minister was abolished. But now, somebody craftily came up with a new post. Instead of calling them deputy cabinet secretaries, in case somebody remembers 2007, they called them cabinet administrative secretaries. This is a different animal, folks. What? And remember, there are 50 of them. And remember, the government is broke. What? I know you must be sweating like I'm sweating. Hii Kenya yetu, nani atatutoa kwa hii shimo jameni? Mungu peke yake. And there's something else fascinating. At the time that the late Kalembe Ndile revealed, exposed government wastage in the year 2007, June 2007, guess how many assistant ministers we had in Kibaki's government? They were 50. So there seems to be something magical when it comes to wasting public funds that is linked to the number 50. I don't know what it is yet, but there must be something. This, I suspect, cannot be a coincidence. Okay? But bottom line, there is nothing new under the sun. Nothing. Oh, and I forgot to mention a small detail. The reason why the kidnappers of the car dealers were caught up with was a small mishap. Something so tiny went wrong. The vehicle they were traveling in was involved in an accident. Here too, that is what changed everything. Because it meant that the perpetrators had to abandon the vehicle. Because when you have an accident, you expect the police, and you expect them to ask for details, etc., etc. So they had to run away, and they got away using a border, which was also hijacked. So the ensuing mess from that small mishap of a minor road accident, is what led to these guys getting caught. It is possible that they've been doing this for a very long time. The only problem was that this time round, it was the wrong season for it to succeed. Now, very quickly before I go, we still have those slots for anybody interested in sponsoring a Kumekucha video. Our sponsors so far report very positive results, which confirms that we reach a very unique audience. In case you're interested, you'll find details in the description area below this video. WIB number 116 is out. Has been out for a couple of days now. And those who have taken it in have had some very interesting comments. And generally, they have found that it has helped them a lot to understand many of the confusing things that are unfolding in our politics right now. You can take full advantage of our latest offer, 2005 Kenya shillings, and that is the year the Kumekucha brand was launched, May 2005, in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. And in case you want to take this subscription via PayPal, it is only $15. And of course, you'll receive all the back editions since we started of the weekly intelligence briefings. Well over 100. And then you'll be able to continue receiving at least another 52 weekly intelligence briefings. 1 year subscription. And that means that if in a year we have not yet produced 52, your subscription runs until you get your 52 editions of the highly sensitive, very informative weekly intelligence briefings. Go for it. I highly recommend it. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.